Hey everybody, welcome into this week's edition of the Top 5 by Tony Spot on Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizek. And this week, we're counting down, for all you river rats that love to fish the rivers all winter long, the top 5 baits you should be throwing on the Fox River through the late fall and the winter months for both smallmouth and walleyes. The first bait we want to talk about is actually one of my favorites, especially when we're targeting those walleyes. And it's just a plain jig head, or you can go colored even. Sometimes we'll go black, white, blue, white. Pink and white is really good. But keeping it fairly light, depending on your current flow and where you're fishing. And in the winter months, I like to focus on areas that are going to be a lot more calmer water areas, especially areas where calm water meets moving water. So really an 1/8 ounce jig, quarter at the very heaviest. If you have to fish anything more than that, I wouldn't even bother fishing a jig. So 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce jig, tipped with a 3-inch Gulp Minnow. Now you don't have to go out and do the Gulp Alive minnows. Those are a little more pricey, but just the regular pack of the Gulp Minnows. Black Shad's good color. Watermelon Pearl is an excellent color as well. And we actually fish them kind of in a swimming motion just along the bottom. We don't even necessarily have to pause it long or hop it per se. And we just nose hook that bait. You don't want to thread it up on the jig itself. Just nose hook it so you get a little more undulation, a little more action. And that is a killer setup for winter walleyes. Now, not to say we wouldn't catch smallies on that setup, but throughout the winter months, we do a lot better with that same jig head, 1/8 ounce, or even up to the 1/4, but actually running a small grub or a twister tail, 3-inch in size. Straight white has always been very good. Straight chartreuse has been good, even like a chartreuse pearl. And that we can fish a little slower, actually hop it and jig it back to us and play around with different speeds of your retrieves on that. And you'd be surprised how many smallies, especially when we get those weird weather patterns throughout the winter and temps really bottom out and it's brutally cold. River fish will keep eating all year long. But sometimes even on the river, we really have to slow down, and that's where that jig and grub combo really comes into play. The next bait we want to talk about is from Rapala, the XRap series. Now the XRap Shads are a shallow diving. There's 2 of them. There's a shallow diver, mid diver. We want that shallow diving XRap Shad. A lot of flash to this bait. Now we can run it as a straight retrieve, and we can even do stop and go and integrate some pauses into it. And also even a couple twitches, couple rips, and just really utilize the flash that that bait has. Natural patterns a lot of times are best. Shad, blue, black, silver. We've done very well with yellow perch out here. And if we get a lot of snow and that current starts picking up on the river and dirties it up, a lot of people don't think about that the snow will change current patterns and the water clarities, but you get a more flow because of snows or melt-offs or things of that nature, even if they're just drawing the water down on the Fox chain. That water dirties up. Fire Tiger as well is another good color. But again, playing around, finding the right retrieve speed on those baits will really help you catch more fish. Keeping the theme, Rapala, the XRap Minnow. Now what's nice is this we can work as a jerkbait. It won't dive too deep. We can keep it out of a lot of the snags, any of the brush or the rock, anything like that. So it really helps us to fish shallow but still do a nice pause, twitch, pause routine. Another way we fish it though, and this is probably the best kept secret that we've had, is actually a very slow but steady retrieve. And I mean, when I'm talking about cranking that thing slow, just slow enough that that thing is just starting to wiggle out there. Both the smallmouth and the walleyes, when they can't get going, there is really no better presentation than to take that minnow, XRap Minnow, and a super slow crawl. That bait just kind of wobbles real slow back and forth. It's very tantalizing to them, and again, we can integrate some pauses to it, and that'll really get fish going. A lot of times, if you can position yourself up current. It's one of the few times I like throwing a bait like that down current and going that super slow, reeling against the current. And again, still always trying to find areas where that current meets, or the current break rather, meets up with that fast water. Now, it would not be spot on fishing and talking about any river system if we didn't talk about this bait, the Rapala Clacking Crank. Spring, summer, fall, winter, I don't care what time of year it is, the Rapala Clacking Crank just flat out produces all year long. We've caught fish in blizzards with it. We've caught them in brutally cold conditions where we can't keep the ice out of our guides. There's something about those baits, just the sound that they emit with that side chamber. It's a very unique sound. It has kind of a square bill shape to it, so it deflects well off cover. You can bang it off the rocks, off timber, anything like that. Now the new ones are coming with just the smaller hooks. The older style had that sure set hook that VMC was running. And it was kind of, you know, there were times that sure set hook would save us, but there was also times that hook did damage to those fish. So now that it's coming with that standard hook on the back end, it's very safe for catch and release purposes. But again, vary the retrieves. We've caught them stop and go retrieves, straight retrieves, slow, a little bit of speed here and there. Thing to remember when you're talking about river fish, they're fighting current all winter long, so they have to feed. It's not like in a lake or a lake setting or a pond setting where that water's super cold and even there's ice on the lakes. Their feeding habits drop drastically. That's not the case in a river system. They're always fighting current. They're always burning off calories. They have to keep eating. So if you can tolerate the cold weather yourself, you can still come out to these rivers, especially the Fox, any stretch of the Fox River with these baits, and catch these fish. That's about it for us right now, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you fellow river rat, hey, what are you throwing on the Fox all winter long? We'd love to hear about it. And don't get me wrong, live bait works well too. It does out here. These are just our 5 options if you guys don't want to throw live bait, be it a jig and minnow or any live bait under a bobber. It's just some more options of how you can come out to the Fox and catch fish all winter long. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Tony Krizek. We can't wait to see you back here on Tony's Spot On Fishing.